and we're going to talk about the history of treasure. One of the most important development studios, maybe one of the most iconic development studios in the history of 90s gaming, and one that I think is often mischaracterized by people who just kind of repeat rumors and don't do their own research. Ooh, Ikaruga. Well, that's one of the points that's on the fringe of the subject today. Because Ikaruga is an interesting case where that is definitely one of the most well known, probably these days, it is the most well known treasure game. More so than Gunstar Heroes or Sin and Punish, certainly more so than Sin and Punishment. Um, and interestingly enough, most of the staff that developed Ikaruga had nothing to do with the rest of Treasure's games. It is really a treasure game in name only, just like Gradius 5. And you can tell when playing it that it doesn't feel like a treasure game. What do you think about Ikaruga? How's the grind going? Are you doing some scoring or what? All right. Let's get my notes. Get a shit clear. Okay. Why not? If you enjoy the game. I mean, there's not really such a thing as a shit clear of Ikaruga because the extends aren't free and there's no bomb. So like there's only one type. Like there's either a normal clear or scoring. Like you can't really scrub through it. You have to learn the game. Um, Phenomenal game. Yeah, it is. Superbly designed. It is one of those games that I really regret that I don't enjoy at all. I've tried a lot of times to get into it, and I will continue to try over the course of my gaming career, but I have just never liked it, despite the fact that the design is great. Like, you can see the amount of thought and attention that went into every setup. Like, so much, uh, like, just such intelligent design. But I just don't, it's not fun to me. I don't know. I just can't. I swear, if it had a black button and a white button, then I'd be able to play it. But the swap polarity button just doesn't work for me. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Ikaruga. It is a good preface to the conversation, and I do wish you good luck. I'm sure you'll have no trouble clearing it, and I'm glad you do enjoy it. It's a good preface to this conversation, which is more going to revolve around the Genesis or the 16-bit era of Treasure's game design. Um, so the reason that I wanted to talk about this, I've been playing the Rocket Knight games a lot recently, and Rocket Knight Adventures is one of those games where people see you playing it or the subject will come up or whatever, and people say, "Did you?" Because it's published by Konami. I think it's widely known that a lot of Treasure staff worked at Konami before they worked at Treasure. And people will say, "Did you know Rocket Knight Adventures was basically developed by Treasure before they were Treasure?" Um, and they'll say, "Yeah, like the same team also worked on Contra Hardcore. That's why those feel so much like Treasure games." The thing is that it's flatly wrong. Like it is blatantly incorrect. Like no one who worked at Treasure worked on Rocket Knight Adventures. Treasure had left by the time Rocket Knight Adventures started development, let alone Contra Hardcore. Contra Hardcore was developed in 1994. Treasure started publishing games in '92. So those games are not Treasure games in all but name. They are not developed by the people that founded Treasure, but they do have a relationship to Treasure, and that relationship is in the form of a person who is largely ignored in the history of the Contra series and Konami's games, who in fact is a really significant creative influence, who kind of is, at least according to interviews, responsible for the style of game design that became associated with those early Treasure works and with the Contra series, and which has been described by him, described by others, and what I prefer to describe as every 3 screens something new. So it's a cinematic style of game design where instead of having a single theme for a level that you continue until a single boss fight, is that in a in this normal 2D side-scrolling format, every 3 screens worth of scrolling is going to introduce a new boss, a new enemy type, a new like vehicle, a new type of scrolling, something about the game mechanics, or some type of character is going to be introduced every 3 screens, and that keeps the games with a feeling like they have a really fast pace and just are full of memorable set pieces. And it is inspired by cinema. Um, like Nobuya Nakazato, the person I'm talking about, has again said in interviews that he was going for something that was like Aliens or Terminator, very much inspired by Hollywood blockbuster movies. And so Contra 3, the Alien Wars on Super Nintendo and Super Famicom, is really also known as Super Probotector in Europe, is really where that style of game design first took form. Um, you know, it is like that game is where you can really put a pin on the beginning of what would then come to be associated with Treasure. And the thing is that Nakazato's games continue to use that approach. He did not found Treasure. He did not work with Treasure. I have no idea what his relationship was with the um, people that worked at Treasure, but he did work with them while they were at Konami. And so that's why I've listed out all the credits of the important creative leads here um, for Treasure and Nakazato as well. So Nakazato's games, most important would be Contra 3, Contra Hardcore, Contra Shattered Soldier, Neo Contra, and relative to how he came about this discussion, Rocket Knight Adventures. So the supposed Treasure developers that worked on Rocket Knight Adventures are Nobuya Nakazato, as in a guy that did not work for Treasure, who was a Konami director and producer, and who worked on the Contra series, and brought his style to Rocket Knight Adventures and Contra Hardcore. Now, simultaneously, Treasure was doing a similar thing with Gunstar Heroes, but uh, it was a case where like you can't just one person doesn't own that style forever. So what I find interesting is that when you actually look at the Konami history of the Treasure developers or the creative leads at Treasure, it is not really the standout Konami games that you're thinking of. Masato Maegawa, who is basically the supervisor and producer of all of Treasure's games, like the head of Treasure essentially. Um, he worked on Castlevania the Adventure, the classic, everyone's favorite Castlevania, right? Castlevania the Adventure on Game Boy. Laser Invasion, no one's ever heard of it. I mean, it was basically like a Super Scope game for NES. It came with a peripheral. Uh, I've played it a couple times. It is pretty fun. It's sort of like a rail shooter game. It's something I'd like to feature on the stream at one point. Um, roller games, which I have not done any investigation into, but a few of these people did work on roller games, so I'm just not even going to comment on that. It doesn't look like anything that's easily summarized. It's not a side scroller. And Bucky O'Hare, which is the most common uh, point of reference for all of these people at Konami, and the closest thing that they worked on there that to resemble Gunstar Heroes or the prototypical Treasure game. Um, so Maegawa did not program many games at Treasure, but you know, it, one would assume that he had an immense creative influence, and I think interviews imply that that's the case. Hey, Fractal, what's up? Treasure sucks. Ikaruga sucks, right? Fuck him. Uh, so yeah, he did not directly, or he's not directly credited for programming of any of the games except for McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, Dynamite Heady, and Light Crusader. I find that interesting. I have not played McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, but Dynamite Heady and Light Crusader are not the best treasure games. Those are like the ones where it's like maybe this guy should be a producer and not a programmer. Like maybe let the guys that are really good at programming do the programming. Not to say that either game is bad, and I know that they both have their fans, but I just don't think that they're at the level of quality of Gunstar Heroes or Alien Soldier. Everything's good here. Um, Hopefully it's the same for you. So then I'm gonna try to get through these credits, not dwell on this too long because I do want to get to playing the game, but it's gonna be hard to talk about all this while I'm playing. So I just want to sort of set the backdrop, and then we'll talk more about the design when we get to Rocket Knight. Yeah, Alien Soldier is a very interesting game, and Alien Soldier is actually one that did not involve so much of the treasure staff. It wasn't as much of a collective effort as it was the individual project of Hideyuki Suganami, um, who was a programmer on the game, the background artist Hiroshi Yuchi, and the musician or composer Norio Hanzawa all worked on Alien Soldier as well. So it had the aesthetic of a treasure game. I think that the playstyle is fairly in keeping. It's just not quite as polished and balanced as the rest of them. But yeah, there's sort of like again, I'll talk about this later. But there are multiple types of treasure games. They're not one. They're not like one really consolidated brand. I'd say that there's something of like three or four strains of treasure game, of which the every three screens something new. The Contra 3 Gunstar Hero style is the one that I'm most interested in. So yeah, Mitsuru Yaida and Hideyuki Suganami were the two main programmers of the early treasure games, aside from Maegawa, and both of them worked on Contra 3. They were the two primary programmers for Contra 3. So when you connect the uh, when you want to make that Konami treasure connection, these two guys working with Nobuya Nakazato on Contra 3 is really, I think, where that influence comes from. And probably everyone on Bucky O'Hare a little bit, but Bucky O'Hare is just not as evolved as Contra 3 by any stretch of the imagination. Um, so yeah, those guys worked on Contra 3. That was pretty much uh, the only really significant, or is the only really 16-bit Konami game that any of these people worked on. Yaida also worked on Super Castlevania 4, but as an assistant. Um, so whenever anyone says like any Genesis or Super Nintendo Konami game is like basically a treasure game, the only one that is in any sense accurate about is Contra 3. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to go through all the treasure credits because that has to do with some of their later games and the fact that like Ikaruga, Gradius 5 are games that really none of these people worked on. Um, Interestingly enough, Hiroshi Yuchi, the background artist for the earlier games, is the one that went on to direct Ikaruga and Gradius 5, even though he uh, ostensibly, from the credits, was not a designer in their earlier games. So he's really the only creative that connects those later ones. Um, but yeah, there's multiple styles of treasure games. So I just wanted to throw these credits up here because it's something that people don't do the research on, and you just get these myths repeated about um, how Konami and Treasure are like the same thing, and it's just incorrect. And it's something that I did the research on this many years ago and was like, people are like they must know something that I don't because they're saying stuff that doesn't match up with the game credits. And I've gone back to it again and again. I've read interviews. I've asked people about it. Like people are just wrong. It's just a myth. And the Konami games were really just these few: Laser Invasion, Bucky O'Hare, primarily, and Contra 3. So let's play. Let's start with Rocket Knight Adventures. Then we'll play Gunstar Heroes. Well, yeah, you missed a little bit of my intro, Fractal, about Nobuya Nakazato, who came up with this idea of the every three screens something new design sensibility, which characterized like Konami's games and Treasure's games. But it was something that was driven by his influence. He wanted to make games that felt like an action movie. Um, So it's something you see. And it was something I was talking about when I was playing through Sparkster last night about how Sparkster doesn't really do that. Um, and neither Nakazato nor anyone at Treasure had anything to do with Sparkster. So where the hell is my emulator? So let's look at that. Every three screens, something new. Design sensibility, and one of the best representatives thereof, Rocket Knight Adventures. Sparkster's great. I love it. I did the one credit clear on hard mode yesterday. You missed the intro, Halsey, but welcome in. Um, we just went through the credits of Treasure, the early Treasure creative leads. But yeah, Sparkster has a lot of depth to it. Compared to Rocket Knight, it's a very different style of game design. It's more about. Oh, sorry, I gotta turn this music off. Um, it's a very different style of game design than what Rocket Knight Adventures uses. Instead of like every three screens something new, it has more depth to the actual mechanics. It probably feels more modern, I would say. Um, there's just more technical skills involved, and the level design itself is like more fleshed out, but also not as varied. It's a very different game than Rocket Knight Adventures. I think they're both excellent games. Like, can't really fault either one. It's really hard to pick between the two, but to be honest, right now, I do like going back to Sparkster more. So we have not yet done a one. I mean, talking about one credit clears of platformers always seems a little bit silly. Like these aren't really run and guns. Even I do stream them in the SCD shmups category because that's just what we do. Well, Salty, you're not a real gamer, so that's to be expected. You're just one of these memo dads. R type, right? So in terms of the game balance itself, Rocket Knight Adventures is stricter. You can only survive a few hits. Generally, like about four hits is going to kill you. But the like encounter design makes it such that you can really consistently repeat strategies so that if you know what you're doing, it's just a matter of execution, and you'll be able to get through the same way every time. Literally playing R-Type right now, yeah. So yeah, Rocket Knight Adventures is much more in the R-Type school of design. Sparkster, on the other hand, you have more health, you take more hits, but there's also a lot more randomization and sort of like you're just gonna take unpredictable hits sometimes, like more AI to the enemies, and that's a big part of why it feels more modern. But you can also be a lot more flexible with your play style, whereas with Rocket Knight, mistake is a mistake. You're gonna get punished for it, and you're gonna regret it. So where the depth does come in Rocket Knight Adventures is in the attack. Uh, there's highly variable damage that you can do with your attacks. The sword beam does the least damage. The rocket doesn't do much either. The sword itself does a crazy amount of damage, and the spin attack is kind of somewhere in the middle. So even though once you get your strategies down, you should be able to execute them the same way every time. It uh, the game leaves a lot of space for being inventive with those strategies. It's one of those games where if you watch someone else play it and repeat exactly what they do, you're missing out on a lot of what the game is. And that's why I think that applies to a lot of what people in the at least in the shoot 'em ups realm will refer to as memo games. I'm just gonna restart. So like people say it's a memo game because they watch someone else play it and they do exactly what that other person did, but that's not how you play these games. Like that's not how they were made to be played. That's not how they were played back in the day. It's a dumb way of playing. Just you were skipping over a huge part of the game, and then you hear people say Ikaruga is a puzzle game, not a shoot 'em up, and that's just because it has exactly that characteristic. Uh, yeah. So in terms of the declaration of treasure, um, this all came about because a lot of people were saying like Rocket Knight Adventures is basically a Treasure game. It's made by Treasure before they left Konami, and it's just blatantly untrue. It's not made. None of the developers from Treasure worked on Rocket Knight Adventures. Um, they had left Konami by the time Rocket Knight Adventures entered development. Yeah, actually, Danielle, the difficulty curve of this game is pretty inconsistent, and that applies to a lot of these cinematic style side scrollers. Stage one is a lot harder than what's going to come after. That's why I just reset. It's better to just get a clean stage one, and then you can roll from there. Have a hard time not watching people play because of how you approach learning fighting games. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that is a very natural and almost necessary way of approaching competitive games. And that's the thing; these aren't meant to be competitive games. Uh, like maybe shoot 'em ups in some capacity are those with well developed scoring systems. But Rocket Knight Adventures is not supposed to be competitive. Never learned any other way. Uh, that's the thing. Like you just gotta. I don't know. It's a different way of playing games, but I really don't watch people play games unless it's a game that I don't want to play. which there are plenty of, and that's why I guess I do watch people play games. It's just that if I'm interested in a game, I just play it myself. You never watch replays either? Yeah, I mean, then you probably are enjoying some of the aspects that I'm talking about, which is just kind of experimenting and figuring things out. Yeah, Life Finds a Way versus Raystorm. I'd love to see it. Some more salty playing it, yeah. I'm getting impatient here. There's no reason to die on this fight. I'm not going to reset again, though. Oh, I forgot, there's a one up here. It's taking me a while, so I haven't played Rocket Knight Adventures in a week or two, and it does take me a while to adjust to this compared to Sparkster, because the mechanics are just different. Don't enjoy the process of learning shoot 'em ups. Yeah, not to assume too much, but you also get salty when you lose at fighting games, right? I mean, I know you try not to, but at the same time, it's your natural response. I don't really care about losing at games. Like, I don't get mad at that. I just expect most of the time spent playing a game is going to be losing. There's going to be that one time where you win. Raystorm is allegedly on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, and the Ray's Arcade Chronology. Raystorm, the weakest of the three Ray games. If you get that, you ought to be playing Ray Crisis and Ray Force. Raystorm is cool too. I just don't like it as much. But yeah, it's a great collection. Put a lot of work into not getting upset, but it's difficult. Yeah. I mean, this again, it's a competitive instinct, so it's not like I'm trying to say there's anything wrong with that. It can be motivating too. It's just not how I respond when I'm playing games. Like when it comes to fighting games, I guess for a while I got kind of depressed and lost interest because I was losing so much. But that's not the same thing, really. So when comparing to Sparkster, one of the things that's like Sparkster has its weak parts, but I definitely feel like these shoot 'em up parts or the auto scrolling parts in Rocket Knight Adventures are pretty weak. The last one, because there's three extended shoot 'em up sections in stage one, in stage five, in stage six, I think. And it's really only the last one that I enjoy. All right, we just gotta get through the castle, then we'll get some momentum. I probably should have practiced off stream. All right, so this is a good example of a part that is exactly the same every time, and yet the execution of it still can be a chore. You have to stay all the way at the leading edge of the scrolling. Okay, one more. Under. Ah, shoot. Okay, that's the one time you don't want to be all the way at the front. Anyway, we made it through. Checkpoint. So Sparkster is a lot more forgiving with the rocket boost mechanic. Huge difference in the control mechanics of the game is that in Rocket Knight Adventures, you get one rocket boost, then you fall to the ground. The end. Sparkster, you can cancel out a rocket boost and continuously do them. from midair. So in Rocket Knight Adventures, you have to be a lot more careful about aiming your boosts. Yeah, it cancels. Yeah, so in Sparkster, you have a air dash. Basically, it's called a roll, but you do an air dash. You can do it up to 6 times in the air, and you can use it to cancel out a rocket boost. You can cancel midway through a boost, or you can just cancel the falling animation from a boost. It's really cool. And once you get to know the game and know what you're doing, it makes it very fluid. Did I already go over SNES versus Genesis Sparkster? Yeah, we've talked about that in the Sparkster streams. Um, for those that don't know, there are 3 original Rocket Knight games, and then there was a reboot on. Actually, I don't think it was a reboot. I think it was just a sequel called Rocket Knight on Xbox 360 and PS3. So the original 3 games are called Rocket Knight Adventures, Sparkster, and Sparkster. You might think that sounds like 2 games, not 3 games, but Sparkster is not Sparkster. Sparkster for Genesis and Sparkster for Super Nintendo are 2 completely different games. And I don't mean different in that, like, oh, they play differently, but they have the same characters and storyline, or like, um, the graphics are redone or whatever. They're completely different games. They're just as different as Super Mario World is from Yoshi's Island. Like, um, different stages, different characters, different concepts, different mechanics. Everything about those 2 games is different. There's no reason for them to have the same title. It's just confusing. And the best way to keep it straight is that the Genesis Sparkster has the subtitle Rocket Knight Adventures 2. So generally, it's best to call that one Rocket Knight Adventures 2 just to keep things straight. And also, that game sucks. Genesis Sparkster is bad. Sparkster 420 was canceled. Yeah. No. So we haven't really played Rocket Knight Adventures 2 on stream because I don't like it. I have not actually played through the whole game. I probably should at some point, but it is not fun. Everyone I know who likes the Rocket Knight games recommends against playing it. Um, Not that there's really anything to lose, but all right. So the game gets easier from here. Yeah, you can see like we're. This is a really good example of this um, Nobuya Nakazato style design. We're at the beginning of stage 2, and the first thing that happens is a boss fight. That is uh, very against the sensibilities of game design at the time, where you would expect boss fights to be restricted to the end of stages, maybe in the middle of a stage. All right, Fractal, we'll see you later. So now we've got sort of a vertical section, some more vine climbing, as appeared in stage 1. And after just a few screens of that, we're going to move to a 1 screen tall side-scrolling section where the gimmick is moving between 2 layers, behind and in front of this waterfall or water curtain. And after 3 screens of that, we are on to another boss fight. This one based on the 2-layer concept. So it's not like we're totally abandoning the ideas. It's just that first introduce the vines in the vertical segment, then introduce the layering, and then you have a boss fight that uses the vines and the layering. This is a pretty fun boss fight, but generally just don't want to go into the background. And again, we're on to something different now. Now we've got these poles, which are similar to the vines, and we've returned to the underwater mechanics from that boss fight at the beginning of the stage, as well as these spike balls, which are actually the hands of the boss at the beginning of the stage. Got the bats that were in the first part of the water curtain. So still remixing these ideas, but now we've got this more extended swimming sequence where we hang upside down from vines. And the way that the swimming controls work is just that Rocket Knight floats on his own, and you can press down to move down freely. Pressing up does not speed your rise at all. Again, couple screens, we move on. Got a simple environmental hazard with the swimming. Now we're out of the water stuff. Onto minecart section. First part of the minecart is pretty much just cinematic. The minecart moves with you until it doesn't, so you don't need to worry about falling off. It's just a way of presenting an auto-scroller. Get sort of waves of pigs to fight coming from the right and left. Whoa. And once the minecart starts to flash, it no longer moves with you, and you need to jump off. When you jump, you do maintain the inertia from the cart. Again, we went to a hazard section. It introduced the new idea of jumping between the carts, and now we're back to fighting pigs, but this time they're coming from a second rail above us instead of from either side of the screen. Now the pig fights in this stage this is kind of one of the things that makes Rocket Knight Adventures a little bit less fun than Sparks of the Replay, in my opinion, because like these pig fights are a good example of something that's just kind of too easy. It doesn't stay around for long, and we get back to hard stuff now, but it really is just cinematic, that whole minecart part, except for the jumps. So this is probably my favorite boss fight in the game, and it's a place where you can really take advantage of the variable damage by getting real close to this guy to hit him with your sword. Take a risk by getting up close to where the attacks are firing from, and the reward is that you can do more damage. Uh-oh. Alright, first one misses, second one, first one misses, second one, and then swings. Whoa. So when the hands swing back and forth like that, well, this whole fight is static, or this segment of it. So he always does the grab and then swings the arms around, and the arms always swing in the same way. It's also a good demonstration here of the fact that when you are damaging an enemy, you have iframes. So, for instance, the spin attack, if you're using that, if it's hurting whatever you're touching, then you are safe. And same goes for the sword. Making contact with the train does damage you, so you gotta be careful. Easier to attack it when it's moving away from you for that reason. So there we go, that's the train fight, and that was one boss fight in 3 sections. The first sort of reflecting the last. Like at first you're attacking it from the front, then you're attacking it from the side, then you're attacking it from the back. Alright, so this is, I guess the unifying theme of this stage is caves. Shoot 'em up joke number 9000. So this, what I can find no other way to refer to than as lava, this red stuff, is one hit kill. And it uses this cool graphical effect that is kind of reminiscent of Castlevania Bloodlines. By the way, a game which no one from Rocket Knight Adventures and no one from Treasure worked on. So that's another myth you'll hear that Bloodlines is related. It's not. Um, but it uses this cool reflection effect for this little um, platforming setup where you have to make the jumps blind or wait until the liquid rises so that you can see where you're going. And you don't, it doesn't force you to slow down because it is, these are all static platforms. So once you know where you're going, you make the jumps blind. Been a little bit since I played, so I'm taking it slow. And then we're out, and we're never going to see that again. Now, rising and falling is applied to water. So here you just got to keep moving instead of taking your time and waiting for the rise and fall so you can see where you're going. You need to wait basically till it gets into position so that it actually opens up the path for you. This is a pretty fun boss fight. Crab robot. Sort of an inversion of the long-armed robot we saw at the beginning of stage 2. This time, instead of us being in a little bit of water at the bottom of the screen and the boss floating above it, the boss is at the bottom of, a pit of water, and we sit on the surface above him. So what I do here is just attack the right claw, and that opens up its weak point. Pretty obvious tell when the claw is going to attack. I just tend to ignore it and do so to my own peril. I'm not sure if it's better to swim down and hit him with the sword beam, but since this is how I always do it, I'm not going to try that now. Alright, see ya. No more water. And now we've got some real lava. This is an auto scroller. Again, like lots of variations on ideas here. So this time, the auto scroller, instead of having a minecart that we're riding along the whole time, we've got this walker platform, which is sort of a form of a minecart that we need to get on and off. Sometimes it pushes us into a hazard, we need to get off it. Sometimes it carries us over a hazard, need to get on. It's a few screens. Now we're on to the boss fight for the stage. We will probably die on the first attempt because I don't have much health. This is a kind of annoying fight because the platforms move really fast. I usually just guess and blindly jump. I'm sure there's a better way to do it. Once they all fall, I want to cross over. Dodge to the right, stay to the left and get the banana, move back to the right, and then when the pig comes up, hit him with your sword. It can be one cycled, but it does require like going into the lava. I guess can be risky. I'll leave that to speedrunners. So that is hard to do the platforming or the jumps with the moving platforms. The fact that you get the banana to restore your health after every cycle means that this is a really forgiving fight. Yeah, and that was a quick little 2 cycle. If you don't get in close and hit him with your sword, it'll take like 5 or 6 cycles. Yeah, I mean, this is Konami. This is what uh, the most expensive, high production sort of game design of this period is. Like they're pushing the hardware to its limits, and in the case of Genesis, it means a lot of fast movement, a lot of moving objects on screen at once. So yeah, I love a game with a lot of boss fights. I think good boss fights make a good game, and this game has a lot of good ones. Oh no, it's a pig. Again, we're just gonna open up the stage with the boss fight here. Very simple one in this case. He only has one behavior, which is throwing these balls. They're pretty random. Swat him back. Alright, this part I hate. Donkey Kong. So we're being pushed backwards by the wind here, and each of these propeller poles acts as sort of a checkpoint you can hang on to. Whether the barrels come high or low is random. No. If you move backwards at all, the momentum will continue to push you back to the next pole. You have to keep moving forward. And rocketing is really dangerous because if you hit a barrel, you're just going to get pushed backwards and get hit by that barrel. Oh, almost. All right, we got him. Again, just a few screens, and we drop down. Now we're going to move under the airship after we went over it. Under, we're going to hang on rails again. One of the unstated characteristics of the concept of Rocket Knight Adventures is that you're playing as a possum, and so these rails are pretty integral to the design as well as the design of the other Rocket Knight games. It's pretty cool. Hanging on rails is something that had become a trope of 2D platformers at the time, but uh, these ones, uh, you know, use it as like a really standard stage element. You can rocket boost directly down at this guy. I find it too risky to be worth it. If you hit him on a diagonal, you'll just immediately fall into the pit and die. I just kind of let whatever happen here. I don't actually try to line up pits on him. Play it safe just by attacking the bombs as soon as they drop, and eventually they'll hit him just by chance. Alright, see ya. Now we got a new type of platform, these pendulums. Just do 3 of them, move on. And here's another fairly annoying section. We got these timed barriers we need to move through while bazooka pigs continuously respawn, forcing you to duck. When you're ducking, you can't move. So you have to make sure that a pig isn't firing at you while you're crossing through a barrier. using the rocket here is really dangerous. Just want to try to be patient. That's close. Hey, Dr. Boss Key. Nothing like keeping a pig from firing at you. It's a pretty important aspect of Rocket Knight Adventures for sure. Alright, this fight can be pretty hard. It's kind of based on safe spots. This is one of those things where if you learn to play from replays, this will be trivial, but it took me a lot of attempts to figure out these safe spots. Oh, and then I forgot that this was the attack window, so we're going to have to wait through an extra cycle. Alright, so for this one, I think you stand here, then you move to the left, and then you move right again. One character with each time. Trash. Alright, so then he just goes back to the first one. I was a little bit off on the safe spot. Oh, come on. Sipping on a zero sugar Baja Blast, and it tastes kind of like alcohol. It's weird. I wouldn't have expected that. Alright, so the first safe spot is like right next to this duct or whatever. Then you want to get real close to them so your sword hits. 2, 4. Yeah. Second safe spot starts next to the duct. Then you move left. Wait for that to pass. Move right back next to the duct again. Then just getting close. Once again. 2. Alright, he's dead. That's why it's really useful to get sword hits. Because, once again, that boss will take a lot longer. If you're standing far away and hitting him with the beam, it's going to take like 5 cycles instead of 1 or 2. A vodka edition. Yeah, I've heard that Baja Blast ice cream is on the way. That's pretty huge news. Points redemption, where you shake your body violently in a similar manner to that pig robot boss. No, we can't. An alcoholic vibe. Alright. I know. I'm super psyched for the Baja Blast ice cream. Limited edition, summer 2024. Get on the hype train now. We've also got Cheez-It Crunch Wraps coming. Baja Blast Pie. Now you're just making shit up. No way there's a Baja Blast Pie. Alright, so this whole stage basically is static until we get to the boss fight. It is kind of boring. But it's really cool looking. Pig City. And so here, and try to sneak through. Then I was looking at the chat, got hit. And then there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The pig. And now stay low for big core. Now stay high. And oh, thought he walked back to the front. I forgot he does that attack first. Alright. So we just gotta do it all again. I don't know why I'm getting hit there. I somehow got a lot worse at this. Alright, everyone check the Discord. Link in bio for the Baja Blast Pie. I mean, I'm up for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm on board. Do it the right way this time. Over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pig rocket. Get some slowdown just by hitting him with the sword. Stay under big core. Over. Let him do his lasers from behind. You can get like sneak a couple hits in while he's moving from back to front, but I usually don't bother. Pray. So your sword attack actually does not auto fire here. You can probably hear that I'm mashing the attack button. Um, you might want to turn on 30 hertz for this. It's up to you. Obviously, you can't use 30 hertz for the whole game because the rocket boost is a charge attack. Longa used to work at Taco Bell. Wow, welcome to the stream. There's pretty much nothing you haven't deep fried from the menu. I assume that's what you meant, not deep friend. Um, this is like a real privilege. Thank you for your service. Taco Bell has got a lot of undeserved hate over the years. By the way, they invented tacos. That's not a joke. It's not irony. It's not ha ha ha. Taco Bell invented tacos. No, they did. Crunchy tacos came from Taco Bell. Tacos before that was a word used to refer to like anything that was wrapped in a tortilla. This guy. Definitely a bit of a difficulty spike. Wide-eyed back then. First job at 15 years old, you made $3.75 an hour. Well, back then it probably only costs like 60 cents for a taco. So that's 6 tacos an hour. All right. Hitting these things with your sword actually causes slowdown. It's best not to do that. Sometimes I can't resist. You do have momentum on your movement. Sorry to say. Under big core. Over big core. This stage is a pain, yeah. We're going to play it safe this time, not try to get in between the lasers. Yeah, the lasers come out really fast and they scroll at the same speed as the background, so it's kind of hard to see them coming. Just need to play it safer. Alright, phase 1 is dead. Now the salamander core. It's really cool the way his tentacles are made of bullets. Or rockets, perhaps? Alright, yeah, that phase is easy. And that's checkpoint. Alright, we got to make it through a couple more checkpoints and then we can start grinding for 1-ups, which we certainly will be doing. So save all your Taco Bell questions for the 1-up grind and your treasure questions as well. Because that's going to be like 10 minutes of just replaying the same 3 screens over and over again. This is really scary with only one half of a heart. Oh, almost messed it up. Let's wait. See them die. Idiots. Gotta lurk while you work on your game. Cool. Appreciate the view. Lurk. Appreciate you working on a game and working at Taco Bell. Thanks for everything, really. So this is a pretty fun elevator race. Just going to try to make it to the 1-up, which you did. And the 1-ups do respawn after death. So they can be used for infinite checkpoint recoveries. Baja Pie is on the cord. All right, I'm going to check those notes about prices and whatnot in just a moment once I get to the grind. There's a banana up here. Oh, no, it's 1-up. And I missed it. Wow, we just picked up a lot of extra lives in a very short period of time. 3 1-ups. Every 3 screens a 1-up. That's what it should be called. I think it's like 50 red gems. Also, it gets you a 1-up. There's actually no gem counter, which is pretty strange. And there are large portions of the game where the gems don't appear at all. Definitely feels like a vestigial aspect tacked on from other platformers. Yeah, we're not going to try to go the hard route and get the extra 1-up. So again, like I've ceased calling it out, but we are still seeing new gameplay mechanics every few screens. And this is something that hasn't showed up at all yet in the game. But this is a case where I do think that Rocket Knight Adventures, despite being really well designed as an action platformer, doesn't capitalize on the rocket boost nearly as much as Sparkster does, and I think that's one of the reasons I do like playing Sparkster better. Like that whole section that I was just doing with the Mario 3 platform, just completely, the boost is completely irrelevant there. All right, so this is the 1-up grind. We're just gonna suicide, and so in this chase sequence, we collect, I don't know, like 15 red gems or something, and also a 1-up. So you can suicide at the end of it, you keep the red gems. The 1-up keeps you from game overing, and you very slowly acquire extends from the gems. Bye. We're going to try to get 9. It's going to take a while. Everyone, go watch your other favorite streamer. Ah! It's one more. It's like 5 more laps we have to do. Maybe we'll just go for 8 lives. Maybe I'll just do a timer. All right, it's 4:33 p.m. here right now. So I'll go till 4:38 p.m. 5 minutes of this, and we'll see how many lives we get. And although I promised to catch up on the taco pie notes, I actually can't really look away from the screen during this part. As far as checkpoint milks go, it's a pretty fun one. So yeah, actually, let's talk about treasure again. Let's go back to the treasure chest. Um, so I mentioned when I was talking about treasure's credits at the beginning of the stream that there are a few different sub threads of treasure games. There is the what I consider the classic treasure style defined by Gunstar Heroes, which has this cinematic variety action, the Nobuya Nakazato style that was carried over into treasure games from Contra 3, and it has colorful characters, usually uh, epic, dramatic plot line, in-game cutscenes, tons of boss fights, experimental mechanics, a lot of control density, meaning like command moves and uh, special attacks from tapping buttons or combining inputs. Um, I think that the games that are really representative of that are Gunstar Heroes, Guardian Heroes, um, Radiant Silvergun, Sin and Punishment, and I think one other game that I forgot. And Alien Soldier definitely is, well, not definitely. Alien Soldier is on the fringe. I do think Alien Soldier mostly belongs to that style. It's just the characters are kind of different, and the pace of the game is not exactly the every three screens something new because it is really more of a boss rush with a lot of variety in the bosses, but just doesn't really feel like a standard side scroller. It's an odd game for sure. Oh, Mischief Makers was the other one. Gunstar Heroes, Guardian Heroes, Mischief Makers, Radiant Silvergun, Sin and Punishment. I feel like those are the, like when I think of treasure, those are the games that I'm thinking of. Um, I think Rakugaki Showtime might also fit into that category, but I've never played that. It's never been released in English, and I don't know much about it. So then the second subset of treasure games would be the sort of B team games, the ones that subscribe to most of that philosophy but aren't as expansive or have flatter gameplay. Just generally like the ones that feel like less money or less effort went into them. And that would be like Dynamite Heady, Light Crusader, Silhouette Mirage, um, Bangai O. I think Alien Soldier is the one that's really on the fence between that A list and B list. So those ones generally I don't find as interesting. I haven't played Silhouette Mirage, but Bangai O I don't think is very good. Light Crusader I don't think is very good. Um, Dynamite Heady, interesting ideas, but again, the execution mechanics are just not really satisfying. The characters are kind of unappealing. It's a very it's a memorable style to it, but a very I don't know, it's kind of crude and off-putting. It's like ugly. And I guess the other thing about those is maybe like slower action, or like the really definitive games like Guardian Heroes, Sin and Punishment, etc., are super fast paced all the way through. So yeah, the core games, the B team games, and this is not a totally arbitrary personal distinction I'm making. Like, not only does this come from the design and experience of playing the games, but it also comes from who actually was working on them. Because like the Gunstar Heroes team is the team that made, like, their games do stand out as different from the other ones. The ones that feel like Rocket Knight Adventures, Contra 3, Contra Hardcore are indeed made by those people that worked on Contra 3. And so then, like, the next would be what I think of as like the, well, actually, next I guess would be the licensed games: McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, Yu Yu Hakusho, a million others. They made a lot of licensed games. Bleach, just a lot of stuff based on like manga, like shonen manga, and a lot of stuff that wasn't released in the U.S. And those are licensed games. I haven't played a lot of them. The ones I have played, like I played the Bleach games, are good. But again, like if you look at interviews, what they've said about them, and just use your brain, um, they are more conservative games. Like they are not trying to. They're trying to play it safe because they're being paid money to sell something based on a license. They are not experimental and risk taking. I really do need to get around to playing McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, though. That is a big gap because that is uh, the it is actually the first game they developed before Gunstar Heroes. And then the fourth type would be like the ones that are, I don't know, like post Treasure, like after the main staff had retired, which would be Ikaruga, Gradius 5. Not, I mean, not literally retired, but were no longer either enough or young enough or interested in taking on the entire task of programming a game. So, like, most of those people, most of that A team, the Gunstar team, did not work on Ikaruga, did not work on Gradius 5. Some of them worked on Sin and Punishment Star Successor, but I think that also kind of falls in that category. Although that one is a bit different insofar as they did intentionally, consciously make that their last game. And so a lot of effort was put into it, and it shows. It is a very good candidate for their best game. What happened there? That was weird. I got like stuck on the door. Alright, so I exceeded the 5 minutes, but I was filling in some info about treasure, so we can get on to fighting the boss now. So yeah, like Dynamite Heady and Light Crusader, those were, and McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, those are all programmed by Masato Maegawa, who's sort of the head of Treasure. But didn't really work in a programming capacity on many of their games after that. Of course, the distinction between a programmer and a game designer back then was a lot less clear cut than it is today. Today, people think of like, oh, there's the game designer, then there's the level designer who does the artwork for the stages, and then there's the programmer who makes the engine. Like back then, there were artists and there were programmers, and together they came up with the mechanics of the game and what the stage layouts would be. Wasn't like a dedicated job to make stages for the most part. Alright, so this boss fight is not super free, but it's not terribly hard either. It's much easier than the Sparkster robot fight. It's just that you can afford fewer mistakes. 3 hits and you're dead. Yeah, you are much more on equal footing here than in Sparkster. Kind of what you want to do is get into range, let him take a swing, back out, and then counter. Got him. All right. 10 lives into the final auto-scrolling stage. So this one, now after we've had two fairly basic and static shoot 'em up style stages, this third one is much more traditional, like Gradius stage. Enemy waves, aimed bullets, just a higher density of elements, faster pace. So this one's pretty fun. Still have to deal with the fact that you have a really slow, like your shot is just a really slow moving projectile. You can only fire one at a time. You have to mash. But I'm going to turn on auto fire. And your sword still does do extra damage. Although these, for these popcorn enemies, doesn't matter. Yeah, you can see right from the intro of this stage that they're calling back to Gradius now. If the appearance of Big Core in stage 5 wasn't enough to make that clear. But yeah, I could use like some homing missiles or side pods or something like that to make this a little more interesting. But it still is fun and dynamic. Having shoot 'em up or auto scrollers as variety stages was very common in this generation of games. So it's certainly not an idea unique to Rocket Knight or Gunstar Heroes or Sparkster. Although Sparkster does throw the odd twist that it's a vertical auto scroller in an otherwise side scrolling game. That is pretty unusual. So now I think Axel shows up. Oh no, we got some pig robots first. That did a lot of damage. So this is a case where, as I was mentioning before, hitting with a sword gives you iframes. But as soon as you miss, you get exposed. Alright. Made it to the boss, just a checkpoint, and guess who it is? The R-Type battleship. With the unusual twist that it warps, rotates, and has an unbelievably obnoxious hitbox. So you really can't let this thing touch you because I believe it does 7 hearts of damage, and there's going to be another phase where we're going to need that HP. Call this a boss? Yeah, I call it a boss. What do you call it? Inquiring minds would like to know. It has the boss music. Yeah. Yeah. Nice hitbox. Oh, it is a boss. Oh, okay. Glad we're on the same page at last. You thought that I was underwater. How would that have any bearing on whether this is a boss or not? So this phase goes on for a while. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, and then you gotta hit the ball. Oh, damn it. I believe you have to hit it 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When it does this wacky flopping around attack, top left is always a safe spot. Nah. If it were a submarine instead of an aircraft, I would change my mind. Like to hear more. So yeah, it's just one checkpoint for it. If you die on that second phase, you still have to do the first part again. Ah, yeah, the second time it warps, you have to be in the bottom left. Guess it's payback for the safe spots. Next part of the fight. Yeah, this is a real shoot 'em up, for sure. Not a joke that it's in this category. I don't joke about shrimp. Alright, we got a little bit of HP left. Or not a little bit, a decent amount coming into this phase. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was close. The title of my stream on the front page of a magazine at the grocery store. We're working on it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3. That's 2 hits. Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3. It's 3 hits. 2 more to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3. 1 to go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3. Oh god, that was scary. Alright. We've still got a couple bosses left to go. And I don't know how to do the last boss fight. And I don't remember how to do the next boss fight. So we're going to need these extra lives. And we're also going to need a save state so I can practice this later. Alright, so for this part, I think what I want to do is rocket continuously. Alright, maybe I don't need to jump. Maybe just do it on the ground. Just rocket, and as soon as you land, walk in the opposite direction. Okay, now it's not on the ground. How would the timing get so off? Alright. Oh, the leg on the ground poked Rocket Knight. Music sounds like it's from Descent or something. All this bass. Okay, left side is safe, I guess, even though it looks just as close to the foot as the right side did. That's not how I wanted to bounce. Okay. And yeah, from here on, I have no idea what to do. Only been up to this point in the game once. Am I gonna die to the pig clones? Oh, they can jump? What the hell? Alright, yeah. So the Axle Duel, I have never beat this, and I've only tried it once. Maybe just use the sword beam? this guy's the basis for Dark Link. And Meta Knight. Come on. Why do you have so much HP? What's happening? Alright. I knew there's no way that would be final fight. It's too sudden. Oh boy. Alright, so we got another phase to figure out. Honestly, the fight gives me Metal Sonic vibes more so than Dark Link. Oh, that felt faster that time. I wonder if I'm actually doing damage during that transition. Oh boy. Seems like his whole pattern here is fixed, even though the strategy is pretty much the same. Just stand at a medium distance and spam sword attacks. Was Zelda the first game ever to have a sword beam? Did it invent that idea? It's a pretty crazy idea if you think about it. I wish it was more present in the 3D Zeldas. So fun fact, the diagonal rocket, God, the diagonal rocket does less damage than a orthogonal rocket. All right, Millennium, you're here for the lecture. You missed most of it. A rocket in my pocket. I don't think so. I haven't checked lately, though. Oh boy, last attempt. This ain't it. Come on, I need to at least get the next phase. Yeah, the summary of the rant is that Rocket Knight Adventures was not made by Treasure. It wasn't made by anyone who worked at Treasure. It is a complete myth that it was made by Treasure. Contra Hardcore is the exact same case. Has nothing to do with Treasure. It was not made by the people that worked at Treasure. It was made after Treasure was formed, and all of the people that left Konami for Treasure had already left. The only really significant Konami game that anyone at Treasure worked on was Contra 3, and only the two lead programmers of Contra 3 uh, ended up at Treasure. Pretty much all of them worked at Konami. That much is true, but they worked on games like Bucky O'Hare, Laser Invasion, and Castlevania the Adventure. Not Rocket Knight Adventures, not Contra Hardcore, not Super C. um, the reason that people make that mistake and that myth is propagated is that Contra 3 was the directorial debut of Nobuya Nakazato, who pioneered this cinematic action style of every 3 screens a new challenge. And that is a style that would go on to define Konami's 16-bit games as well as Treasure's 16-bit games. Um, Nakazato directed Rocket Knight Adventures, and he directed Contra Hardcore. He also directed Shattered Soldier and Neo Contra much later. But he did not work for Treasure ever. Oh, is he dead already? No, of course not. Thanks to Plock, we have a much richer Rocket Knight, Contra Hardcore, and Konami experience. I don't quite get what you're saying, but sure. Is it over? No, I don't think it's over. Of course not. And we don't even have any other or any more continues left to practice. So that is game over. Before the next time we make an attempt at Rocket Knight Adventures, we will need to practice that final boss. Uh, Stream will continue with some Gunstar Heroes. I need a 2-minute break. That was a good attempt at Rocket Knight. That was the closest we've come. It's just inevitable that not having practiced, not having ever seen the final boss or even the final few bosses in this type of game, you're not going to be able to do that on the first try. You need to practice those things, and it takes a lot of time if you're playing without save states. All right, so I will be right back, then we'll play Gunstar. And actually, while I'm gone, I'll put up the treasure credits. These are the well, Nobuya Nakazato is the guy that is miscredited as the guy that defined the Konami style that is often characterized as Treasure style, but who never worked at Treasure. And then Masato Maegawa was the basically head of Treasure. He supervised almost all their games, but only worked as a programmer for Treasure Land Adventure, Dynamite Headdy, and Light Crusader. Mitsuru Yaida and Hideyuki Suganami were the programmers of Contra 3 who moved to Treasure and made their iconic games like Gunstar Heroes and Mischief Makers. Tetsuya Kikuchi was character designer. The only game he ever worked on at Konami was Bucky O'Hare, or that is credited for. And he's the guy that left Treasure feeling less like Treasure once he stopped doing character design for their games. So he did Gunstar, Guardian Heroes, Mischief Makers, Radiant Silvergun, but that's why you don't see he didn't continue on to Ikaruga or anything like that, and that's why you don't see those Treasure characters in those later games. Hiroshi Yuchi, um, who was the background artist, worked on a few Konami arcade games like Simpsons and Aliens. Also worked on Bucky O'Hare. Almost all these guys worked on Bucky O'Hare. He was one of the longest lasting creatives at Treasure. Basically, the only one of the original team that actually lasted to work on Ikaruga and Gradius 5. And interestingly enough, even though he was credited only for background art for the earlier games up through Sin and Punishment, he was the director of Ikaruga and Gradius 5, which is probably why those are such weird and non-treasure feeling games. And then music wise, Noria Hanzawa. Um, that's almost not even worth mentioning because it's not really a comparison point that people make between Konami and Treasure, but he does write good music. Gunstar Heroes is probably the best soundtrack on Mega Drive. Do I ever play Ghouls and or Ghosts? You have to wait uh, till I come back to hear the answer. Might not be what you expect. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I'm back. Just setting up Gunstar Heroes. Wait, has there been no game audio this whole stream? Because there isn't right now. There has been game audio. Okay, so why isn't there right now then? It's very quiet. Yeah, I turned it up and then I turned it back to where it was before. I don't know why Gunstar Heroes is so much quieter. Oh, is it that? What about now? How is the volume balance now? Can you hear the game? I'm sure that you can hear me over the game. It's okay. Yeah, yesterday I watched back the replay and the game was too loud. Like, I was comprehensible, but it was annoying the way it was balanced. I'm having a sour pink lemonade ghost energy drink, um, which I bought by accident because I looked at the back of the can at the convenience store and I saw the pink and I thought that that was the strawberry margarita flavor. But actually, now that I think about it, that one's red and orange. So I got the sour pink lemonade by accident. I usually don't get the sour flavors because they're pretty acidic. Alright, so moving on to Gunstar Heroes. Now we are into a real treasure game. And this would be an appropriate time to reiterate that the game we were just playing, commonly known as Rocket Knight Adventures, was not a treasure game, not a proto-treasure game, not worked on by anyone who worked at Treasure, and was made after all of Treasure's personnel had left Konami. So next time someone tells you Rocket Knight Adventures was basically made by Treasure, tell them that they're basically completely an idiot. And should do their homework. Cherry limeade is bad. Yeah, it's not good. The strawberry, or I think it's called like strawberry mango Rita or something. Strawberry mango Rita, maybe. It's good. I wouldn't give it a much more of a review than that. It's good. Yeah, suck it, idiots. Alright, so we're playing on hard, we're doing free shots, and we're doing it with the double flame weapon, or we're focusing on double flame weapon. We've gotten R-worded by Curry and Rice a few times lately, so we're going to start with Dice Palace and try to get it out of the way. So if a retro collector selling wires with a discount code tells you Rocket Knight was made by Treasure, say you're as fake as your skill in the games you own. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, my permission. Tell them where's the proof. Hit the thing! Hit the friggin' thing! Ah, it's so annoying. Yeah, so black is definitely not the easiest stage, but I go to it first because if I'm going to reset, it's probably going to be on black. Alright, we'll take Lightning Flame until we can get a double flame. It's probably the, objectively speaking, most effective weapon for hard mode. It cancels bullets, does good damage, and that's pretty much all you need. Main weakness is a short range, does make some bosses pretty annoying to fight. And I guess the other weakness is that component-wise, since all weapons break down to 2 weapons, component-wise, this lightning is like the worst solo weapon, so the fact that it has lightning in it means that you can't really cover long range very well. Whereas Flame Buster, you can use Buster solo if you need it. I have Avalion, makes the Golden Arches, little McDonald's Treasureland reference. You know, if you're really lucky, if this stream goes really well, we could play McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. Apparently it's called Strawbango Margarita. Well, that would be why I've written that out of my memory, wouldn't it? I do not care for that name. Yeah, take an item. I don't think this one has a flame in it, though. This room has everything but flame. So yeah, we can't drop the flame, but let's just do, since we've done Flame Lightning a lot, let's do Flame Buster. Treasure made McDonald's Treasureland Adventure? Yeah, that is a Malone game if there ever was one. Who is this? Oh, it's Rush and Go. That's why I always forget. You love that game. Oh, come on! Oh, this is bad RNG, so I'm just gonna wait it out. You love that game. Alright. Lucky you. Sorry, just while I'm waiting this out, I'm gonna set up something. Okay. Now I can bring up this credits when I want. If you get into a bad position with Rush and Go, it's better to just wait it out and not take damage. This is Destroy, which is just free HP. Love to see it. No! Ah! Go to hell. Yeah, that's the treasure logo right there. Where'd you dig that up? Is this the other Russian gal? Yeah. This one's kind of a joke. Taito plus Ronald McDonald equals little alien head. I don't know. I can never read the Twitch emojis. They're too small. And in the OBS chat window, they're not animated. So I can't see that either. Phantom, I'll take it. Because he gives you health and he's easy. Check out the background here for the work of Hiroshi Iuchi, Treasure's longtime background artist, and a little Easter egg that he left there in the form of a flying dot. Ah, come on. That's a crappy fight. Alright, no two. Oh my god! Curry and rice. God, fuck curry and rice. Here we go again. Man, that menu music is so good. Free shot, flame weapon, black dice phallus. No, don't go off screen, come on. Alright, so this time we got double flame right off the bat, which I appreciate. Double flame is considered a low tier weapon, I believe. I find it fun to use though, and it's one that I've always kind of neglected in favor of just more OP choices, basically. But the Flame Whip's fun to use, especially with Free, the red character. I know he looks blue, I know I've said this a million times, but this character is called Red. Yep, heavy machine gun, rocket launcher, all the good stuff. God, the friggin' chain grabs. You really, when you get grabbed, you have to mash to get out of it, and you have to mash really hard. Give me a 2. I'll take 1. Valian. So when he curls vertically, he's going to do a targeted dash at you, and when he curls horizontally, he's going to do the golden arches. Give me a 1. Rush and go. There's really only one route through this, and I just messed it up. And I messed it up again. There's no penalty for not finishing this. No, 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 no. No, stop. Hinted McDonald's treasure line. Maybe. So if I game over on the Dice Palace again, then we'll start with pink instead. Or orange. I won't keep coming back to the Dice Palace. Melon bread, or melon pan, it's called in the Japanese version, which is just the Japanese word for bread. Comes from the French word pan. McDonald's Treasureland playthrough is after this, right? Well, we're going to do a quick Castlevania 64. Just a quick little speed run. And then McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. And then ActRaiser 2. And then Alien Soldier No Miss. Destroy. Free health. We could squeeze some Raystorm in, yeah. Pit. It's been a while since I played on normal, or at least since I got Pit on normal, but I think it's only 4 balls on normal and 6 on hard. But this flamethrower weapon is really good for this fight, which can sometimes be annoying. Decided which shmup will be my first shmup, possibly my only shmup. Yeah, Life Force, I know. Phantom? Life Force, right? Oh, I get, oh, get guesses. Alright, well, it's not going to be Raystorm. It's not going to be Parodius. Not a guess. Just narrowing things down here in my head. It's not going to be Sexy Parodius. I love playing catch with these guys. Don't think it's going to be Mars Matrix. I don't think it's going to be Ikaruga. I don't think it's going to be Salamander. Is it Star Soldier Vanishing Earth for the N64? Oh god. Vortex Base? Alright, Vortex Base isn't that bad with this weapon. It's just still Vortex Base. I find the way probably didn't even know what Zero Ranger is. Uh-oh. Yeah, and 64 has one shoot 'em up. It's Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. I mean, Sin and Punishment and Star Fox 64 are kind of shoot 'em up still, but, you know, in terms of 2D. Yeah, fan of the stream and IRL friend Golem has, I guess I should say, friend of the stream and friend of the streamer, Golem, has a real N64 copy of Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. Oh, come on. Oh, no, I read it wrong. Alright. Vortex Base is rough. No, that was only one guess. Oh, Life Force was my first guess, really? Alright, one more guess. I would think it would be a Dreamcast game, but that leaves a lot of possibilities. I'm not going to guess Ikaruga because I just pray it is not Ikaruga. Hey, Mama, welcome in. We're just talking about Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. Bet you have a copy of Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. Border Down. Life Finds Way, Border Down. For Dreamcast. The G-Rev Classic. That should be your pick. That game is extremely sick. Psycho Shmups? I don't know, ask Mr. Dragonblaze over here. Psycho games are fun. I don't know. Yeah, I like them. I like the earlier ones better than the later ones. Like, I prefer Strikers 1945 and Samurai Aces over, like, Gunbird 2. Yeah, a lot of shoot-'em-up players hate Psycho. Because they are just really strict games. And they have randomization. I don't know. I really don't understand the hate for them. Like, the rank is pretty severe. So they are very hard games to practice. Like, traditionally, unless you're a save state practicer or a replay watcher, they are going to be pretty difficult games to learn. Like, they do have a lot of walls up in terms of accessibility, but they're still fun. I mean, like, if you are so fixated on 1cc's that you can't enjoy the games, then that's your problem. I'm wrong because the game you chose is sec. Oh wait, I should have guessed Harmful Park. I forgot. You said that one time. You said that Harmful Park was going to be your first shoot 'em up. How's Dragon Blaze going, Mutt Mutt? All right, so we're not going to do dice fouls again because we've just had too much bad luck. We'll do pink first. So one of the cool things about the stage order in Gunstar, so Gunstar here is basically Contra plus Mega Man. It's like the concept of the game. What if you had variable weapons like Mega Man? You had like variable stage order, character-based boss fights. Just a lot of the design traits of Mega Man, but then with a pace of action, it's much more arcade-like, like Contra. So, in keeping with the Mega Man games, you get stronger as the game goes on, and that's a way that you can use the stage order to your advantage, instead of it just offering variety, which is nice enough in and of itself. So you get extra HP, or extra max HP, when you complete a stage. Collect the gem. I guess the gem gives you more life force. Pardon the unintended and nonsensical pun. So, that, for instance, is why I always fight green last, 7 Force, because I want most HP going in there. And most people would take the Dice Palace late because of that as well, so they have extra life for the Dice Palace. But because of the Dice Palace tends to be where I reset, I usually like to take it first. Get it out of the way. I don't find that the extra life helps as much because it's really just a matter of whether you have to fight curry and rice. I didn't get any extra health from the bird. This health item is not worth getting. Yep. Lost as much health going for it as I got from picking it up. Dragon Blade is great, not a fan of style, but undeniable it's a great game. By the style, do you mean, like, the art style? To me, it feels very much like a ripoff of Maho Daisakusen. I like it, because I like the style of that game. I think it's a successful ripoff of it. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you mean. I don't really like the dragon pod. I mean, it's cool, but it just doesn't work with Psycho's design for me. It is cool to have like more of an R-type pod system, something you don't see in a lot of games, which is a good concept for sure. The play style visuals are awesome. You like the fantasy visual style, Dragon Pod, you get used to it. Okay. Dragon Blaze feels really hard to me. Like, I feel like generally Psycho games just strictly get harder as they go on. Like, each one is harder than the last. I don't feel like there's much debate about that either. So Dragon Blaze is pretty far along the line, or pretty far down the line in that progression. Like, Strikers 1945 is hard enough for me. Having to care about 2 hitboxes is hard. Oh yeah, the way that you have a smaller hitbox once you've launched the dragon. Yeah, it's weird. Alright, so a neat little thing about the weapon system in this game is that the solo weapons, you would think that since you can combine weapons, it would make the individual weapons irrelevant. But there actually are some advantages to using a single weapon type. So, single flame has shorter range than the double flame, and it doesn't fire off as a projectile when you release it, but it does have higher DPS. So on certain bosses, where you don't need to keep any distance, you want to switch to the single flame to kill them faster. Oh, you meant watching your character in the position of the dragon, but you do know they have different hitboxes too, right? Because I always thought that was weird. Alright, so now that we've got a little bit of health upgrade, we'll go back to black. Repeat the Dice Palace. I think I'll do one more attempt of hard, and then, like, if I game over here, I'll do one more try, and then I'll just play on normal. Because I would like to play the rest of the game. And hard is always a struggle. Especially since this isn't the main game I'm focused on right now. That was close. I still have not cleared the game on hard. We've come close using both fixed and free. I think in both cases with lightning flame weapon, but right now I'm not really focused on the clear. I'm just trying to learn how to play or learn the effectiveness of the double flame weapon because I enjoy playing with it. God, these guys are so aggressive. Alright, we need an item. Thank you. There's no way to manipulate the die rolls. You just gotta go with what you get. And today we're getting a lot of rush and go. Certainly not the hardest space, but maybe the most boring. That was a good run of it, though. Little speed run. Destroy. Nice. We're definitely going to get the way back. Luck has been too good so far. We're going to get punished for it. Pit again. Yeah, it's just funny how things work out that in 3 attempts now we haven't seen Minion Soldier or Timer on at all. We've seen Rush and Go and Destroy every time. Alright, nice and clean. Thinking between the Castlevania 64 and Actraiser 2 play some Gynoog, aka Wings of War. It's a fun enough game, but it is somewhat boring. It's one of those games where I'll play one credit and enjoy it, but as soon as I game over, I don't really want to play again, because it starts out so slow. Oh, come on. Now I'm going to get hit by Phantom. That was close. People ask why I take Super Nintendo over Genesis. I'm going to refer them to this boss that is literally a fucking rectangle. What was that, Pit you're talking about? Yeah, but there's like 30 bosses in this stage. That's the thing. What did we just land on? Oh, Aberembo Gel. Nice. There's a case where you just use the single flamethrower for the DPS. Not that Aberembo Gel is hard. Oh, come on, with 15 HP left. Scratching Gynoog off the list, what about Undead Line? I would rather play Gynoog. Undead Line has a nice soundtrack. The Bubble Boss's core reminds you of Dragon Warrior Monsters on Game Boy Color. Was that like the Dragon Warrior Pokemon game? Oh, Super Gondola. Alright, so Super Gondola, I usually just try to keep him from destroying any of the floor. which means attacking those bombs before they fall. It's easier said than done. Alright, we lost a lot of floor, but I think the bomb hatches are all dead now. Come on. Movement of that thing is so awkward. It's their rip-off of Pokemon. You liked it because you could breed the monsters and come up with some wild stuff. Yeah, that is cool. Come on. No, the way back. I called it. Timer on. What happened in Dragon Warrior Monsters if you bred, like, a stone golem with a slime? Did you get, like, a slime golem? Or a stone slime? Hey, what is this now? Oh, melon bread. Kind of a joke character. Depends on who had the dominant genes. Yeah, I figured it would have a system like that. Come on, take an item. Alright, no curry and rice or vortex base. Yes! Alright, we made it. And we got a little health for padding, but really don't even need it. Nice. Alright, so it's really hard to lose against Black. The Beat Stepper, or whatever it's called. He's kind of like a free boss, since it's... the Dice Palace is rough. More than likely a slimy golem. Yeah, it seems a lot cooler than a stone slime. You only ever bred dragons. Oh, this is called Dragon Warrior, isn't it? Two. Alright, so it's blue. Really cool boss concept. Yellow, which is corner. All of his attacks have safe spots. Blue is in the center. I like Biohazard Battle. Green is ducking in the corner. Yellow, corner again. And dead. Biohazard Battle, aka Crying. That's a really cool soundtrack. Definitely one of the most distinct soundtracks of the age. Oh. Not. Alright. It's the first time in a while we've been through the Dice Palace. Let's go ahead and take on orange next. Alright, give me some more Genesis shoot 'em ups. If you want, on my YouTube channel, there is a there's a co-op clear Biohazard battle. Oh no, wait, I think it's on Golem's channel, not mine. Anyway, go follow Super Golemio if you want to see a co-op 1cc Biohazard battle. I don't remember if it has commentary or not. That was like maybe our first co-op 1cc. 99 cents on Steam. Yeah, it's one of those games that's in every single Genesis collection. They've made sure that people don't forget about it. Does Taco Bell have a 99 cents anything menu? We never got back to that subject. These days, a dollar is basically a penny. Like, a $1 bill, just gonna throw that in the garbage. Yeah, they have a value menu. What is it, like the cheesy potato something? Like the worst menu item? That's what they all have now, all the fast food. They don't have dollar menus anymore. And they realize they don't need to sell things that cheaply. People will pay more because they're paying for the convenience. Cheaper than regular menu items at free reign to go as high as $4. Yeah, what kind of value is $4 for a single item? Someone I think it was my mom, gave me like a $10 gift card for Chick-fil-A. Just like as a random Christmas item. A stocking stuffer, if you will, even though we don't have like stockings anymore. We don't really do that because none of us eat candy or anything, or are 5 years old. But she gave me a $10 gift card, and so I went to Chick-fil-A and I was like, oh, I can't get anything for this. I can't even get 2 spicy chicken sandwiches for $10 with no fries or drink. It's like $7 for a spicy chicken sandwich. Yeah, I feel like $10 should be 2 meals. I expected that. But yeah, a single meal is like $8 or $9. No. Damn it. I don't want to die against orange. Okay. $10 is just one combo meal and that's it. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I don't ever get a combo meal at fast food. Like, I don't really, we've talked about this many times. I don't need to go through the whole speech because there's always someone that's like, ew, you eat fast food? And it's like, yeah, like maybe once a month, like 10 times a year or something. Like, just, it's good and sometimes it's convenient. And, like, I don't know why that needs an excuse. So anyway, now that we've got that argument pinned down, I never get a combo meal because, for one thing, I don't want a soda, and for another thing, I don't want fries. Um, I I don't really eat potatoes as part of my diet currently, and even before that, I feel like fries are not as good of a side as just like some extra chicken tenders. Like if I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A, uh, I'd rather just get a chicken sandwich and like 3 chicken fingers than a chicken sandwich and fries. So I never get the combo meal. But the thing is that like even getting the standalone sandwich, the solo sandwich package, I just took like 50 damage that one bomb uh, cart. It's like $1 cheaper than getting the combo meal. It's still like $8 for a sandwich. It's insane. Can't live without potatoes. It is tough. Yeah. It's definitely the hardest thing to cut out of my diet, but it also definitely is. It's just a really easy shortcut to keeping your calories down because of basically how much potatoes I eat when given free reign. Swear the only people that say ew fast food are eating garbage all day and projecting. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. I think that those are the people that are they're like ew fast food orders 6 pizzas on Grubhub. Like there's nothing wrong with eating it every once in a while because every other meal I eat is healthy. Like guess what I had for lunch today? Tuna and quinoa. Guess what I had for breakfast? Oranges. Clementine oranges. Eat a lot of potatoes, but not plain. Plain potatoes are hard to overeat. I disagree completely. A straight up baked potato, a straight up boiled potato, a little bit of salt. And don't even get me started on butter. What's up, First World DF? Alright, so this, as I said, no, I don't think I did say this. So 7 Force is definitely a rough spot for trying to get by with this double flame weapon. It is not very effective on him. We're going to have to use the suboptimal close range strat for Soldier Force. It's really preferable to fight Soldier Force from all the way in the back. Alright, Tails Force. Complete bastard. He's gonna spin. Oh, he's going for 2 laps. Alright. Yep, he's gonna spin again. Oh, damn it. I read it wrong. I'm gonna get hit. Crab Force again. Place where double flame, the short range is definitely a problem. Yeah, I saw it coming.